Nowadays, we see books written about many different things, from fiction to nonfiction, fairy tales to true stories, and from gossip to true accounts of people's lives. But where do the imaginations of fairy tales and other fiction stories come from? Like, how do they create such fantastical worlds? I myself love sci-fi books and films, and I always wonder where they get the ideas from. How are those images, generated? Has it got something to do with their own natural creativity, or are they receiving help from somewhere? Well, let's dive into the metaphysical aspect of it. And I want to thank you all for coming on to our channel, Metaphysical Awakening. I'm Aya. And for those who are new to this channel, I'm a metaphysical practitioner, and I provide consultation services alongside my mom, Hitomi, who also helped me put together our website, metaphysicalawakening.com. You can stop by our website by clicking on the link below in the description, and I'll make sure to leave that there. There I explain a bit about what we do and what we mean when we mention metaphysical. Every day we depend on our five senses, such as sight, touch, hearing, taste, and smell throughout our life. But what I mean by metaphysical is going beyond those five senses, which includes intuition, empathy, energy healing, and more. So stay tuned for more videos that are coming surrounding the metaphysical aspect of each topic. And we thank you so much for stopping by. So, do you have the creativity or desire to write a book or novel? Not all of us do. Well, what drives a person to take the time to sit down and write a story? I suppose it takes patience, time, and dedication to write a book. And not all of us have the patience to do so. So what drives these particular people to do so? I suppose it's about the feeling they receive from actually sitting down and writing their story. And each of us has our own passion, and we express ourselves accordingly, whether it's through playing a sport, teaching, learning a language, traveling, or writing a book. As we are doing the activity that we are passionate about, that we enjoy, a light turns on in us. It's like that inner light, that frequency that's in us, exhibiting itself in a way that's different from other frequencies we're made up of. We are spirit beings consisting of many different frequencies fused together, becoming who we are today. And in those frequencies, there are certain ones that manifest as our passions in life. They could range from maternity, like being a mother or a caregiver, to creating imaginary worlds, such as many of these writers do. And they can exhibit themselves in such a way that might surprise you and I both. Many of us haven't yet exhibited those frequencies yet because perhaps what you carry may not be needed in this lifetime or world. Perhaps what you obtain is needed in another lifetime during a certain period of change. And that change or transition brought out something in you that was necessary for those times. For others, perhaps it would be in the way of what your goals are in this life. Perhaps your concentration is on another matter. There are many different situations, but what I find that people today need a way to express themselves, whether that's through some form of art or poetry or whatever it is that seems to be their calling. Storytelling is essential in many civilizations and in time periods. Without it, where would we be in life? I mean, what can we fall back on? Many of us refer to a book or some sort of myth or story to remember societies that were long forgotten or destroyed or perhaps prospered. We learn through experiences not only of ourselves but of others throughout history. We build our society on the backs of others, and this is, the strength behind storytelling. It's wonderful as it is dreadful. There are many kinds of stories, whether they are true or not. That's what's fantastic about storytelling. We learn from them, and we can achieve great moments from reading a personal story that inspired us to do something in our life. So where do these ideas come from, excluding the ones based on true stories? Are they seeing a world that exists somewhere? Are they somehow going back in time or into the future? Do they appear in their dreams? Are they receiving otherworldly help, why does it come so easily to them? And is there a spiritual aspect to it? How do they feel when the words start flowing? All of these questions and more were examples of ones that I was basically looking into in a more metaphysical way. So again, as I mentioned, there are a couple of my videos. These are from my perspective as I take the time to fill into different topics, and in this case, the topic of creative writing. So of course, there are many creative writers out there in many different parts of the world, and each one unique in their own way. They feel the inspiration to tell their story and write the words down, and it's interesting to see how it flows through them onto paper. So let's look into the possible scenarios of where the story is coming from. Well, some stories could be based on a thought or experience that a writer remembers from their childhood, the time when we are at our peak when it comes to imagination. Imagination flowed like a river back then. We had time to imagine and just let it take off. And some imaginations left an impression on us as we got older. They never left us and continued to haunt us in a way. So perhaps the story started off from there or surrounded that thought or theme. But what of others? The ones who have told a story that they can't quite make sense of. Something they see in their mind but not know where they originated from. They came from somewhere, and it consistently returns to them over and over again until they decide to write what they see on paper. This perhaps could be metaphysical in the sense that someone around them is reminding them of something. Someone is showing them something that they want them to write about. Of course, not many of us are consciously aware of these things as far as where they're coming from, but at times we experience things that don't make sense to us. We experience things that seem unexplainable, but yet they are explainable. We just don't see it with our physical eyes or touch with our hands or hear with our ears, but regardless, something is happening. The moment the pen touches the paper to write out what they see or imagine, that light of inspiration becomes brighter, and whatever frequencies related to what they are writing, such as creativity, justice, truth, joy, compassion, anger, whatever they're writing about is or are expressed. The words flood onto the paper in waves as they freehand their story. The words flow through them in a manner that's not consistent with other forms of writing, such as writing in your agenda or doing paperwork or making a shopping list. It's different when writing a story. So why is that? Where is that flow of whatever you call it, coming from? Well, as a person is writing a story that seems to always be at the back of their mind, incessantly waiting to be written about, in some cases, I believe there's a spirit or spirits there waiting patiently to be heard. I'm sure you've heard of writers who have stated that they have got writer's block. The inspiration isn't flowing the way they would like. Why isn't it? If they're natural writers who possess this ability to come up with stories one after another without any assistance, why do they have periods of drought in their creativity? This is very interesting to look into because we would assume that creativity would consistently flow through us as if we're destined to be artists, dancers, poets, writers, and so on. So why do we experience a period when it feels as if inspiration has left us? Well, let's look into this further. There are many of us who have experienced this at one point or another in doing what we passionately like to do. What's going on in that period of time when we no longer feel inspired or motivated? Are we tired, busy with other things, disappointed or sad about something? Are we dealing with a lot of stress? Those could perhaps be the reason for no inspiration. They tend to, block the flow, especially when we're overwhelmed. Other times, what I'm learning is that the flow of inspiration comes from outside of them. It is where it's there when it's needed or wanted. Where does it come from? Well, I believe it's from their guides. Their guides are writers too. Perhaps authors of books we have on our bookshelves in our libraries and bookshops. They help them write or put together ideas with a hint of inspiration to keep it going. Those times when it feels as if the writer is out of inspiration could be because the guide is away, or it's time for the writer to focus their mind elsewhere for whatever reason. No matter how hard they try to put an idea on paper, nothing comes forward, not a word. This could be a sign that their guide is away. So then my question is, why do that? Why help if it's not a natural part of them to create stories on their own? Why make them believe that it's a natural ability or that it's coming from within? Well, perhaps this has to do with their path in life. Perhaps they are supposed to learn something from this. Maybe it's about how they're not in control of what they believe they can do. I mean, imagine being able to write and it flows through you with no problem. So you're writing with fury and you're feeling satisfied with the work you put in, then suddenly it's gone. Nothing comes out and you have no control over it. You think of ways to inspire yourself, but it's as if you're going through a dry spell. What do? What if it never comes back? All your thoughts and fears are about whether you'll be able to finish your book or ever write again. It's scary. It's out of your control. What if that's something for you to learn? Learn how to deal with situations like this. It's a peculiar situation, quite unique actually. Imagine what would go through your mind if you were to experience something like this. It all lies on you and no one else. So perhaps it's an experience for that person to learn from in regards to the reality of control. Another possibility is that a person may rely too heavily on their craft. Perhaps they have other talents that they're not aware of, and it's time to embrace those talents. So perhaps this area is shut down for the time being to work on other talents, which in turn gives them an opportunity to learn more about themselves, which broadens out their meaning in life or purpose in life. There are many reasons for when an author or writer may feel that the inspiration has left them, and a lot of times the other side has a part in that, I believe. They may get angry and frustrated for the time being, but as they say, when a door closes, another opens. Now, these amazing storylines with futuristic setting or visionary plots, where do they come from? Are they just making these up in their minds? Well, it seems that in some cases you have individuals who have the ability to create a web of imaginary worlds with made-up characters on their own. They embody that nature of creativity. It's a natural talent of theirs, I believe. However, there are some writers who certainly receive help in doing so. This is where you have individuals who, as they are staring into space, are watching an image of a distant planet with imaginary characters playing right in front of them. Where these images come from is a mystery to them. I suppose they can say that their mind is just creating them on its own, as if, as they are just staring into space. But in these cases, I believe there are guides or a spirit who is close to them, playing an image right before them as they are in a relaxed state, either entertaining them or giving them a message. In either case, this is a great opportunity to create a story based on what they saw. The story may continue in their dreams at night and carry on to the day as they sit there daydreaming. Again, we have outside influence here. So these could be based on past lives, ancient history, life on other planets, future timelines, or simply creation in the sense of creativity of forming new stories. Well, I hope you enjoyed what I shared today on storytelling and the creation of stories. Again, it's based on my perspective on the topic and a more metaphysical aspect of it, like what's playing behind the scenes. It was an interesting one to look into, and I learned quite a few new things myself and asked questions that I never took a moment to even think of before. So, like, why doesn't it just flow continuously for many writers if it's supposed to be a natural, talent of theirs? Why do they go through dry spells? So it was interesting to feel into that. So thank you so much for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. And if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy your morning, your day, evening, wherever you are. Be happy and be true to yourself, and take care. Bye.